Good morning. Today is November 8th, 2020, and we're talking about Tropical Storm Eta. We're going to give you all the latest here, but I also want to reiterate the fact that we've gone through the entire hurricane names of 2020, the Atlantic hurricane season names, and we're still on the Greek alphabet. We're talking about Eta this morning. It once made landfall this past week to parts of Central America, Nicaragua in particular, as a major Category 4 hurricane. It's not a hurricane right now. It's a tropical storm, and we're going to continue to look a little bit deeper into that. We're going to start with the wind history because about this time yesterday, Eta was still a tropical depression. You can see about this time yesterday, almost 10 a.m., 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds there. But as we approach late morning, we start to take on more of those characteristics. The latest National Hurricane Center update, still at 7 a.m. this morning, keeps it at that tropical storm status. But that's what happened yesterday late morning. Hurricane hunters continuing to investigate this site and bringing us all the latest too in terms of what we're dealing with out in the tropics. As of 7 a.m., I already mentioned sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. It's moving north-northeast at 12 miles per hour right now. So we are picking up a little bit of speed, but it is over land, still right around Cuba, still impacting Cuba, but it's also impacting a wider area too and going to begin to bring more impacts to the peninsula of Florida. Right now, still about 300 miles south of Miami. We're talking impacts being felt near the Bahamas as well as the Keys of Florida already, and this is only set to continue. Over the next upcoming hours and even the 24-hour range for the Keys of Florida, we're going to see that Tropical Storm Eta nears them late tonight, early tomorrow morning, if not sooner. But we're also going to see more of that westward turn over the next upcoming days. So this puts it back in the Gulf by about Tuesday early morning. And the thing here, and what I want to really look at in detail here, is the fact that this system is going to sit in this range of very short distance for a decent amount of time. And this is going to bring a lot of rainfall. We'll take a look at those rainfall totals in just a little bit. But that westward turn is also going to be combated with more of a northeasterly turn. Now, I also want to talk about the fact that this thing is going to stay in tropical storm status almost its entire run. There's a couple things that are inhibiting its further intensification. One is dry air and two is higher wind shear. Although those waters are very warm for this time of the year, remember tropical systems themselves only need a threshold of 80 degrees to continue to further intensify. But when we look at a couple more dynamics in place, we're going to see it kind of maintain this strength. Now, we could see things get a little bit more dicey as we near the coastline because this puts us there and still about 130 miles just west of Tampa. We're going to continue to see this by Friday morning. Now you can see Monday morning here, Friday morning there, not a whole lot of ground covered. So this thing's really just going to sit out there and spark up some rain. Some good news, there's no land out here. So the rainfall totals out here still not going to be as impressive, but we're still going to see some decent amount of rainfall as this system works its way a little bit closer to the peninsula of Florida. Now we're talking about this cone of uncertainty. You can see that bowing shape around by Friday early morning. It's encompassing a lot of area here. And it's not only because the models are in agreement to that westward turn. Most of the models are in agreement that this thing is going to turn back to the north and east. Obviously, it's already going to start by Friday morning, but most of them are dead set on the fact that it's going to make landfall to somewhere along the coastline of Florida. But the thing here is really just how fast that happens and when it sets itself up. But I want to also reiterate the fact that this thing is encompassing a lot of area, not only over water, but also over land. Maybe you have a relative that's a snowbird, or maybe you have a vacation home, or you like to frequent Florida as a state to vacation. Well, Tampa, Sarasota, Fort Myers, Marco Island encompassed in this cone of uncertainty, and even a little bit farther north of Tampa. You can see Orlando's still going to feel impacts from the system alone too. It's not included in that cone of uncertainty, but still nonetheless going to feel impacts from the system alone. It's not only going to bring gusty winds to the area, but we're talking about different watches and warnings put up in place. That orange color there, that's that tropical storm warning. That includes parts of the Bahamas, like I mentioned. It's still up for Cuba. And then you can see a greater chunk from central Florida all the way down to the southern tip of Florida included in this. That orange color, like I mentioned, that's a tropical storm warning, includes Fort Myers all the way to the eastern side of the coast too. Fort Pierce, that's up, Miami stretching down to Key West. So all of these locations at bay and bracing themselves for a tropical storm to make way towards their general area. But this is probably going to expand as we're going to see Eta work its way into the Gulf and then near the coastline too. So some more locations going to work themselves into this tropical storm warning over the coming days. And we could also see some other areas, maybe even in the panhandle of Florida, spark up in that watch and warning category too. Rainfall totals, though, here is through Wednesday early morning. This is one of our model outputs, the European model in particular. And I want to draw your attention. This is still Wednesday early morning. So like I mentioned in the trek of Eta itself, by tomorrow early morning by the Keys of Florida, and then working its way a little bit farther to the west. So the rainfall totals expected there, the greatest of totals, still going to be through the southern tip of Florida. We could see some rainfall throughout central Florida too, but you can see like Naples about 2 inches of rainfall, and this stretches down Key West, potentially almost 4 inches of rainfall with this one model. Miami Springs almost 4.5 inches of rainfall. Key Largo over 5.5 inches of rainfall. So nonetheless, that time frame that it's just sitting out over the Gulf or potentially even near the Keys of Florida, going to draw up a lot of rainfall. Not only are we going to see strong winds with this, but storm surge also in place too. This is that watch going all the way from just south of Fort Lauderdale through Miami, the southern tip included down through Key West too, right there near 75 just south of Fort Myers, going to be included in that watch. So nonetheless, this is going to be something we're going to continue to watch for, any developments with, anything that changes. But I want to draw your attention to the season itself, hurricane season. It's been a record-breaking one so far this year, and it's not over yet. Climatologically speaking, the hurricane season ends right around the 30th of November, so the end of November, but that's not to say we can't see any systems past that date. Like I mentioned, it's been a record-breaking season, so it really wouldn't surprise myself or really any other meteorologist out there that we could see any system past that threshold. Any year it's possible, but this one alone has been one for the record books, so we could see one then. I do want to draw also your attention to the fact that you can ask me any questions on any social media platform. That includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter too. If you do have any comments, questions, or concerns about your general area and how it may feel impacts, here to Hampton Roads, I will tell you that we could see some excess moisture, tropical moisture, make its way here by the end of this upcoming week, but it's still a little bit dicey out there in terms of where that thing really ends up. So we'll keep you posted on any changes, but at bay right now, we're talking about the peninsula of Florida bracing themselves for Tropical Storm Eta and working its way up through some of the Gulf Coast states. We'll have all the latest updates continuing to bring you some here from the 13 News Now Weather Center, but for now, have a wonderful day.